Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Trial by Error Variety Show podcast. I am your host, Chazzle Dazzle, and today we are talking to California-bred, Texas-implanted pop artist, Mr. Abram Shook. Saw this guy on the Sweet Party lineup, and I did a little deep dive into his music. Really loved the concept. He's got 3 albums that are they just accent each other perfectly. Such a great evolution. About a year and a half apart. And we're gonna do a little surface skimming. I'm gonna play one song from every album, starting with the very first album on to the 3rd full-length album. I'm gonna put every single name of the song and the album in the show notes so you guys can keep along there. The interview was really fun. We talk about ways to stay sane in this very uncertain time. I'll tell you what, it's 2 words, really. Good habits. So turn this all off and just go have some good habits. Just kidding. Nah, really, you guys. It was a great interview, and I really enjoyed talking to Abram. So, without further ado, everybody, enjoy the show. No, I think we're good.
Well, all right,
Mr. Abram. I'm Chaz, by the way.
Chad.
No, Chaz with a Z.
Oh, with a Z.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Got it.
How's your COVID going, dude?
My quarantine?
Yeah.
It's it's all right so far. Just trying to stay busy.
Yeah, it's hard to do, right? Do you have a good routine?
Yeah, just a lot of music making, to be honest, and got a few projects I'm working on at the house too.
Oh man, that's really good.
Yeah. How about you?
It's funny. I kind of float back and forth. Luckily, I've been doing the podcast every week, and I get to talk to different people and have something to edit on, and I've been able to work. So I have quite the routine. I'm a little overworked, but what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So I'm hoping that I come out of this just with an endurance level through the roof.
Right. Yeah. Are you? Do you find yourself to be like? Are you typically introverted or extroverted type person?
A little bit of both, actually.
Yeah.
I definitely am one of those people. I go to shows a lot. Obviously I go to Utopia Fest. I go to huge festivals. I don't mind being around people, but I do love my quiet time, and I love just being able to sit in my bed and read or whatever, So I'm a very good balance. I think because I'm aware of one way or the other, I try to maintain a balance,
Right. Yeah.
How about
Do
you?
Oh, I'm definitely on the introverted side for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. But I was just gonna see if you find that like doing the podcast thing and talking to acquaintances or maybe people you don't really know too, does that like sort of help a little bit of the extroverted side, do you think? Kind
Definitely.
of like get a little like people time, so to speak.
Yes, definitely. Because I work alone, even though I get to get out and work.
Right.
I'm a painter, so I don't have a crew right now. I just paint by myself, and so I spend all day alone, which is fine. I listen to podcasts and audiobooks and music, but when I get home, it's just all family and stuff like that. So it helps me claim my extrovert for sure. That part of me that does need to speak out and also live vicariously through people. One of the reasons I target musicians is I love how different people are, how everybody's influenced by such different segments of music. I mean, every artist I've talked to has had a different influence, and that's just I've talked to over 100 bands. And like, oh, have you ever heard of this band? And some of them like, no, but I've never had a band repeat their answer. And I've never had an artist repeat it, and I just love that this place is so vast and the sea is so big, especially in Austin and in San Antonio, where I'm primarily from. So
Okay, yeah. And I mean, especially nowadays too, right? Because you can have access to any music you want now, anything from anywhere in the world. There's this great website that we use on tour. I can't remember. It's called Radio, but with like 7 O's or 5 R's or something like that. But it's pretty wild. It's somebody has, it's a labor of love for somebody out there, some tech slash music lover, and they've compiled a, basically it's like a map of the world when you look at the website, and you can click on any country, and you can click a time period, and it'll just start playing music from that country and that era,
Wow.
from whatever's in their library. So like you can pick like, Peru from the 1960s, and you just get like wild stuff that you would never hear.
That is truly a labor of love. Yeah. I mean, that
It's
is
great.
some,
It's great. We use it on tour, and we discover all kinds of stuff like that way.
man, it's like a little time capsule.
Yeah,
I,
and it's also then you start thinking about what was going on either politically or just like in the world at the time in that specific country, and yeah, just hearing it all through the music is a pretty unique experience.
that is incredible. Yeah, I would love to share that link or that app or whatever it is in our show notes here. So I'll have
Yeah,
to
I'll have to try to look it up, and then
I'll
I'll
look it up as
text it
well.
to you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely, and we'll see who gets it first.
there you go. There you go.
But yeah, that's such an incredible thing. I'm always been fascinated by that. Just the fact that right now, as we speak, there's a every state has a band that's putting out an album. And it may never get
Mm,
heard by the audience
hmm.
that it needs to be heard by. And
Right.
for somebody to take that time and stamp it and really do the research on that, I mean, it makes you want to. It just opened doors, where
Yeah.
I want to know
Yeah.
what's going on in the '70s. This is bananas.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah. Exactly.
wow, that is really neat. I've never heard of
Yeah.
that, but
Yeah. It's good. Highly recommend it, especially these days when you're kind of locked inside a lot. Well, not you, but just in general,
hmm
people. It's a good discovery tool.
yeah, since we're bracing for the long haul, it's
Hmm.
definitely good to have tools like that that just offer such a vast rabbit hole. But so are you primarily making a living off of music, or are you able to work? Do you do stuff outside of this career wise?
I do pick up gigs. Well, I also play for other people, so that helps a little bit
Yeah.
monetarily. And then I do some like catering type stuff when I need money, or some construction work kind of thing.
hmm
I worked in restaurants for a really long time, but
Me too.
it's really not a good thing for my brain. I need to not be in that world. And so yeah, I kind of stopped doing that a couple years ago, maybe close to 3 years now, and
hmm
I just do what I can to make what money I need.
It's kind of funny. I stepped out of restaurants and into construction as well. I just, I wanted a trade that was more rewarding. I feel
Hmm.
like restaurant work is just, it's so redundant without the reward.
Yeah,
It's just
for sure.
like
Yeah.
never enough money to really put back anyway. I don't care what position you found yourself in. It was like,
Yeah.
yeah, easy ways to, the stimulation you need, you're not getting in the stimulation you're getting, you don't want. Um,
Right. Right.
but I love the construction stuff now. I still play music, but just not. I never really made a living off of it, and I don't have multiple bands anymore. So I'm just kind of on my own, just kind of keeping my chops up. But
Yeah.
so I focus more on construction and stuff, and I was kind of bitter about that until everything sort of came to a screeching halt, and then it was like, oh well, I guess I can still work.
Yeah. You still have a trade. That's
Yeah, so I'm
that's
pretty
good.
thankful for that. But
Yeah, it's great.
man, I definitely am worried about my friends out there who have put in so much time and effort to getting as far as they have, and then to just have this speed bump. Like, it makes me want to start a construction crew with just all my band friends. Like,
There
all
you go.
right,
Yeah.
dudes, let's do
Yeah.
this.
Seriously. Yeah. It's a worrying time for everybody. I mean,
hmm
artists are at the top of that list, I think, for me personally, just because they're all my close friends. But yeah, I mean, really, just kind of a little bit of the unknown right now.
Yeah, but you sound like you're handling it well. You've got you're still staying musically active, which is a lot of people I've talked about. That's sort of the drive for that has sort of slowed down a little bit, which is sad.
Yeah, I think I've heard a little bit of both. I was listening or reading, I should say, an interesting interview from a artist friend of mine, and he was saying exactly what you're saying. He was saying he finds it hard to write and hard to focus on music. Uh, uh, Maybe some of it was because like that sort of, well, I don't know what's next or when I'm ever going to be able to play this stuff or put it out, or so. I think he just felt like it was kind of like daunting or maybe even a little bit depressing to work on music or something, you know.
Yeah.
I find it like highly. I mean, but I work on music constantly, even pre-COVID. You know what I mean? Like I would be doing the same thing that I'm doing now,
Yeah.
um, regardless. It's something personally that I need to focus on for my own well-being.
I find myself wanting to do more covers right now than sort of challenge myself to find content to write about, because I usually write very personally, but
Hmm.
I do kind of, I'm swaying more towards the depressive side. So when I do write, I'm like, crumble, crumble.
I see. Yeah, yeah, right.
So I'm like, what kind of songs, and then I find myself just finding really cool, uplifting songs to sing.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's great. I feel like that's what music offers is all of those, things to
Hmm.
each individual. If you need the uplifting stuff, then it's there for you.
Yeah, the groundwork's already laid for me. I have
Yep.
that Ultimate Guitar app, and from tabs to, I mean, just every instrument
Mm.
you can find chords and tabs, and it's really neat. It's I recommend that app right now for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah, right.
5
I've
stars.
never been very good at playing like other people's songs. I don't know why. I mean, I play, I've maybe done a handful of covers over my
Hmm.
sort of solo career that I've found a way to uh, work into the set or something. But yeah, in general, I don't know. I have trouble with cover songs or something.
That's interesting. Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. You definitely have a body of work that says you're busy all the time working on your stuff.
But yeah, right. Yeah,
you
yeah,
know, and to know you're in other bands as well. I mean, there's that's that other chunk of time.
yeah, yeah. You just
So
gotta stay busy.
yeah, my favorite cover bands though are the ones that go all the way. Like the
Mm,
Eagles of death metal, or like the
mm,
guys that really just take the band and they take that one focal band and then just
mm,
sort of spin the genre.
mm-hmm,
Brown Sabbath, that kind of stuff.
mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah,
Those are the best.
yeah.
But anyway, so as far as releasing music and stuff, what do you think this would be more of a conducive time to do it, especially since places like Bandcamp are waiving revenue here and there, or do you think it's probably one like a better idea maybe to sit and polish stones until the smoke clears out here, and then just have kick ass like release parties and stuff?
Hmm. I mean, I think it's just, um, I think anything goes. I think we don't know, so you could just try either or. I
Hmm.
mean, there's certainly nothing wrong with really working on something and crafting it until it is what you want it to be. And if that takes longer, I mean, if that takes you through COVID and quarantining, then, so be it. But if you have stuff ready to put out now, I don't see why not. Um, I do think there is a case to be made. I mean, I understand friends thinking like, well, you don't get to do maybe the traditional PR and like the traditional touring support behind something that
Hmm.
you've worked and put a lot of time into. But I guess I would also say, well, yeah, but who knows when all that stuff is coming back? And then there is also like maybe there's a lot of ears on music or things like Spotify or something or Bandcamp right now. So maybe there's potential for larger audiences. I mean, I don't know about any of that stuff. It's all very vague, that whole
Yes.
world.
It always is. Yeah, nobody
Yeah.
nobody knows what they're doing right now.
Yeah.
I feel like you're right. Yeah, there's probably, if you want it out there, I don't think there's a right or wrong time. I think it's right based on when you put it out. I'm kind of one of the believers, and you are where you are at the right place in the right time always. sort of that be here now sort of thing. So if you feel like, hey, it's not right, then save it. But just
Yeah,
know
yeah,
that this may not happen. This may not be a year and a half. It may be something that we have to sort of consider for the rest of our lifetime.
yeah.
Just
It's
just
certainly going to
how, yeah.
change concert live music, like live shows. It's probably going to change that for a while, for the foreseeable future. I think
Yeah.
even if other things start to open back up, I think live type shows or even I don't know, going to the movies or something, might look pretty different for longer than other things, where they can maybe control the spacing of people.
Yeah.
Or maybe they'll find some kind of system to put in place that is able to get people back to work and kind of back to quote unquote normal life, whatever that means.
Yeah. Or we all simultaneously become, no more boomers, no more Generation X or millennials. We're all just the mask, the
Yeah,
mask
right.
decade. Yeah.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
we have all become.
Yeah. Yeah, but I got some, I'm working on a couple records right now. I think when they're done, I'll just put them out. I don't know if I'm gonna like try to wait on anything.
I think a
Um,
lot of people, where they make their money per se,
mm,
not just from the venue paying out that sort of thing, but just is like merchandise.
mm-hmm.
So I think that's where a lot of people are trying not to sort of exploit themselves, but I think that's really where a lot of people have put their money and kind of need it back. It's like
Mm,
we've already got
mm-hmm.
physical stuff out there. If we could just get rid of that, that would give what we've put in back at
Right.
least,
Right.
and kind of clean the slate there. But I
Mm,
think people are more worried about just let's make more physical stuff or let's. So I think maybe that just in saying that, I'm realizing the pressure would be off to make anything physical and just have digital stuff for now.
sure.
Um,
Yeah.
and maybe that.
I, you might. I mean, I'm not totally positive, but I think you can still do vinyl. Because I feel like a friend of mine's band is still getting vinyl.
Hmm.
So I think you can still get some physical things made. Um, but I can't. I'm not positive of that. But and then you could sell it on your website or what have you.
Yeah. Oh, I'm saying I'm sure people are reluctant to get new physical stuff until they sell the
Oh,
old.
I
So
see what you're saying. Right,
so
right.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that way they can might feel some sense of relief knowing like, hey, we don't really have to go the traditional route of buying a whole bunch of physical stuff. Let's just put our
Mm,
music out now
mm-hmm.
and let people get that, and
Right.
then whenever everything gets back on its feet and we've earned some revenue from this music, we can then buy some physical stuff or whatever.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
I think I don't know. I'm just snowballing here. I don't.
Yeah, well,
I don't. What do I know?
I think most of I mean, but you're right. I mean, most of the physical stuff gets sold at shows, which we're not having anytime soon. So,
Yeah. But anyway, I really liked your stuff, man. You've got a really good knack for songwriting. I
oh, thanks.
mean, I
Appreciate
love
it.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very well put together. It's very well engineered, and your rhythms, your vocal rhythms are on point. I love it. It's all my kids love it too. For me, I'm a lyricist, and I
Hmm.
I listen for that. And I can tell that what you've put into this is exceptional from beginning to end. I mean, you've really focused on what you're trying to get into these songs, and beyond that, I mean, like I said, the production's very well. So a lot of people just when they listen to pop, they just want that beat and they kind of
Hmm.
forget that there's a message
Hmm.
inside of this. I love
Yeah,
it.
for sure.
So how much of that becomes, biographical and how much of that is just sort of riding the wave of that song, that particular vibe that you've created? What would you say the percentage is there?
Well, if we're talking specifically about most of the records have loose concepts, not necessarily like story arc concepts, but just like they have a thematic thing that I'm usually exploring from record to record.
Hmm.
So specifically on the last record, there's like a whole subtext to all the songs, and in order to get it what I was talking about, I had to definitely use some like personal, insight or personal stories, I guess.
Hmm.
A record to record, song to song. but they're all kind of tied together. I mean, especially with the last two records for sure, and the
Hmm.
current one I'm working on are very much like have a theme running throughout. You know, they have like a through line.
Okay. Okay. So you're
First,
basically just sort of navigating the theme.
yeah, exactly, and then that gives me like a framework to sort of bounce off of, and I can build something within that um, world. You know,
Yeah.
the first two records were much more experimental and well, not experimental in the sound sense, but like in songwriting sense, and me trying to figure out directional things and recording techniques and just kind of stuff. I was trying stuff out, you know. So I think like first record has some more like story based songs, like lyrically, but they're abstracted. But there's not really like a thematic through line on that record. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Did you how has your production sort of evolved from there? Are you sort of using the same tools and like production tools, or are you sort of also trying to get on the forefront of, you know, what sort of new sounds are out there, new samples are out there, that kind of thing
Hmm.
to integrate into your machinery?
I mean, I like to learn, you know, I like to continue to learn and
Hmm.
try new things. And I think that's why, you know, for the most part, the records can sound pretty different from album to album because I might just be on some new kick, you know. And so, yeah, I try to incorporate those things into recording. But for more or less, I guess it's been kind of the same thing for the last few records. I do a lot at home because I can't afford a studio, you know.
Hmm. Hmm.
The record before Neon Machine called Love at Low Speed, it was done much more in the studio. That was probably my biggest studio record. So maybe close to 75% of that album was done in a studio.
Yeah.
But that gets really expensive real fast, you know.
You got to try it, you know, and you got to
Yeah,
see if that's your fit.
right.
I think the home
Exactly.
stuff sounds great. You
Well,
know,
thanks. Yeah, I like the home stuff.
do you
Plus,
do
it
your
allows me to work on it, you know, whenever, however long I want, and at my own pace. You know.
yeah? Do you test? Do you have like a little test audience, like friends that are real honest with you and stuff?
No, I'm like super guarded about
Hmm.
my stuff. Yeah, I don't like to show anyone until it's done.
Hmm. I'm the same way. Yeah, until
Yeah,
it's finished and I'm on
yeah,
stage. They're like, wait, what? This guy writes songs? Yeah, you
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
know, did
yeah,
you?
yeah,
No.
yeah. I mean, I'll show like maybe the guys in the band, in my live band, maybe some demos or something if I'm like, oh, thinking about trying to bring a new song to the live set or, you know, before I went in and worked with Eric, I sent him demos of stuff, you know, just so he knew what we were getting into.
Yeah,
Not going in blind, you know. But yeah, for the most part, I don't like to show anybody anything until it's all done.
I feel you. Yeah, definitely.
That's what like we're working towards, right? You know, a finished piece of art that we can feel like we've done our best at, whether or not the audience or whoever likes it or thinks it's crap. In some ways, shouldn't matter that much if you're satisfied with it.
No, taking it to your band, that's like the best place to take it
Yeah,
because
yeah,
they can
yeah,
only
for
help
sure.
you, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
if they're good people.
Right.
They'll try to sabotage you.
Yeah, exactly.
I've
I
heard
mean,
some.
and it is good to learn lessons as you go as a musician and as you put stuff out and like learn what you like and what goes over well maybe with your audience or friends or family or whoever, you know, and then you take that back and you internalize that and you write new stuff.
Yeah.
I just don't feel comfortable showing somebody something until I'm like really satisfied with it myself, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So you dreamt of foreign countries. You built the walls to keep it here. If you'd like to call it home, just go ahead.
outside of playing music all the time, what are you doing more reading? Are you binging stuff? Netflix, Hulu? What are you absorbing out here
Hmm.
that's worth recommending?
I don't know. The last two books I've read have been sort of not very good.
No.
So yeah, and I don't watch a lot of TV or movies or anything. I guess like occasionally I'll like get into a little bit of a series. Like I watched that. It's called Dark. I think it's a
Hey, I've heard of
German
that.
show. Yeah, I thought that was really good. It's kind of like sci-fi suspense. Yeah, intriguing. It's cool. I like that one. But yeah, I really don't. Honestly, like I either work on music all day, all night, or I got some, I have a little house here in South Austin, and I have like it just needs a lot of work all the time. So I have sort of projects I'm working on, like household projects. So
Yeah.
I
Well,
just bounce back and forth between those two things, to be honest. And sometimes I'll have conversations with friends or have a few beers on the porch or something. But yeah, mostly I keep really busy.
yeah. Have you been able to keep in touch with all your friends? You've been doing the Skype and stuff. I mean, the
Yeah,
Zoom mostly,
yeah,
probably.
we do. One of my bandmates had the idea to do a weekly Zoom meetup, sort of with the band, and it's now expanded into like our other music friends, and so we've done that a couple weeks in a row. I actually missed it last week, but yeah, so that's cool. Just keep in touch with people. But I'm also, I like being alone too, you know. And that's what I guess maybe that's what we were talking about at the beginning, about sort of extrovert, introvert. I don't mind alone time. Like,
Hmm.
I do like want to know that all my friends and family are safe and healthy, and I do want to check in with everybody. But I don't, I don't get antsy or need to go out and see people or, you know.
So this is working out just fine, huh?
I mean, kind of. I
It
mean,
sucks saying that, but at the same time, it's like, well, I mean, some people take this hard, and some people are like, hey, well, I'm already kind of adjusted to this inside the house, to yourself lifestyle.
yeah, I mean, like I was kind of saying earlier, it's like I was already sort of starting to work on these couple records that I've got going right now before all this happened. And
Hmm.
so I would literally be doing the same thing
Yeah.
either way, other than I was supposed to go on a tour and like a couple other, music related things, play some shows, and those
Yeah,
all
that's right.
obviously got canceled. But
Man, I know. Couldn't have came around at a worse time for Sweet Party, peeps, man.
yeah, yeah,
Looking
that would
forward to
have been
that camping trip all year.
that would have been a good one. That would have definitely been a good one. But
It's such a chill environment out there. Some of the best people ever. But
yeah, I've been to Utopia, but I haven't been to Sweet Party.
it's camping was like we didn't have neighbors. I was like, what?
Right.
Camp
Yeah.
all by ourselves? Okay. It was just there weren't that many people. It was great. Same
Yeah,
vast
yeah.
area.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we it was kind of funny. We set our tent up a week before just to air it out, and I was gonna spray the seams.
Mm.
And that night, a thunderstorm came through with like I was like, "That's it. We're gonna test it." No, it
Mm.
broke all the broke all the rods.
Oh no.
Damn it! So I had to buy a new
Oh
tent. And,
man. Oh man, that sucks.
yeah, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I have a new tent now.
Right. Yeah,
But
but now no Sweet Party to go to. Geez.
yeah, I
Yeah.
know.
Camping is solitary, so
Uh huh.
I figure we'll be able to camp again soon, as soon as they open the parks back up.
Which I hear is soon, and I don't know how good of an idea that is, but man, it is enticing, isn't it?
Yeah, right. Well, they said not before they closed the camps, but they were still doing like distancing stuff. A friend of mine said that, they were being really good about only letting people book every other campsite, so
Hmm.
it would spread out the campsites more.
Yeah.
At some of the ones that get more crowded, the closer ones, like maybe like Ink Lake or something like that.
Hmm. Yeah, I could see a lot of these places. Like there's one out here where we're at where campsites are already, 50 to 100 feet apart. And I don't see
Mm.
why there'd be any reason to to not do that. Just block the porta potties off, and
Yeah, right. Yeah, there you go.
I don't know.
Yeah, but it's about to get real hot, and camping is hard in the summer for sure.
It is. It is. Do you listen to any podcast, or and as far as books go, do you ever do any audibles?
No, I mostly just read like hard cover or what's the word? Paper
Physical.
books?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
physical.
Physical
There you
copies.
go. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah, I tried. Like my brother got me an Audible thing, and I don't know. I just couldn't get into it or something. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Not sure.
I have such a love of books, but for some reason, as I get older, reading
Mm.
puts me to sleep.
Mm.
I never
Yeah.
had that problem, and
Maybe that's a good problem, right? Like maybe then that can help you go to sleep, right?
well, I feel like my children use it to manipulate me. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Because they're like, Dad,
Mm-hmm.
read me a book, and I'm asleep,
I
and then
see.
they get up and raid the fridge.
I got you. Yeah.
So I think they do
They're
this to
onto
me.
you. They're
Yeah,
onto you.
yeah.
You gotta be careful.
I in trying to hypnotize them, I hypnotize myself. That's what
Mm-hmm.
happens.
Yeah, exactly.
But I
Exactly.
love Audible. Without it, I would not be able to have the type of literal storage that I have in my head right now. Just
Right.
I love biographies. I don't like fiction so much. I
Uh-huh.
love
Uh-huh.
biographies.
What do
And
you got going right now?
right now, I'm about halfway through the Robin Williams
Oh,
biography.
cool. Yeah, but that's fascinating.
Oh man, that guy. He just it was different times, but he also
Mm-hmm.
was just so in some environments so carefree, and then in other
Mm-hmm.
environments so introverted and sad almost, you know,
Right. Yeah.
just
Yeah.
because of how different he felt and how he wanted to be remembered differently than how he was always characterized in movies. And he took so many of these jobs just for money, I learned.
Mm.
And these movies that you'd think they'd stand behind, Popeye even,
Mm.
um, were just nightmares for him. And it's just interesting to sort of hear it broke down like that. And kind of sad,
Wow.
but also just inspiring in so many ways. I mean,
Right.
who he was, all those little voices and everything, that was just a natural thing for him since he was a
Yeah.
little kid. Nobody like him, for sure.
No, yeah. Unique individual for sure.
hmm And before that, I had listened to and finished the Shackleton expedition.
Oh yeah.
And that right
How was
there,
that? Yeah.
if those guys can live on a sheet of ice for 8 months and have to eat like their sled dogs and not eat each other, I think
Mm-hmm.
I think
Mm-hmm.
sitting in our houses making music isn't a bad deal.
Yeah, right.
So they just basically got stuck in some frost and some ice and could not move until the season changed, and that was 8 months. So
Right. Yeah. I remember reading something I think there was like a New Yorker article that was like maybe either an excerpt from that or just
mhm.
its own standalone thing. Yeah.
Just very
Intense.
heroic, yeah, very intense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They did everything they could to not kill and eat each other. I mean,
Right.
clubbing penguins. I mean, just starvation. But
Right.
I don't think any of them died.
Mm.
No, I don't think any of them died. They all suffered horrible frostbite and different types of injuries, but
Right.
just really incredible. And there's I've read the book about the Donner Party, and
Yeah. Yeah.
that just kind of became a little monstrous towards the end. There were people that just
Mm.
lost it in that one, and the humanity was kind of gone from them.
Right.
But
Yeah,
it
that's
just kind
crazy.
of it just shows you, how lucky we are right now. How this truly
Yeah.
is the best
Yeah.
time to live as a human being.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. I was last year. I was reading a little more. I probably read like a book a month or something.
It's not bad.
But yeah, I think just the last couple books I have just kind of duds, and so I just haven't really picked anything up lately, and I've just been so busy with the music stuff that's keeping my brain enough occupied, So
hmm
I kind of like to ride the wave while I can,
Totally.
If it's sort of feeling really creative, then I'm just gonna like drill down on that until it's not there anymore.
hmm
Don't want to waste it,
Yeah, use it while you can, for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. Yeah.
Do you find that's kind of consistent, or are there times where you just don't want anything to do with your instruments? And not that it doesn't bother you, but it's just kind
Mm.
of like, no, it's just not into it,
No, I think I just because I have that routine of sort of like writing every day, so I'm always picking something up, and I just sort of like do it in the morning, like, kind of like work. I mean, it doesn't feel like work, but I
Hmm.
treat it like a job, so to speak. And that way, I can get into maybe new things and try not to like repeat myself or try new stuff. But I do get like sick of a particular instrument or sick of a particular like style of writing, so to speak. Like the last album is basically all. I think there's a tiny bit of guitar here and there, but it's really a guitarless album.
Hmm.
And a lot of that was just like I was just tired of writing on guitar,
Yeah.
and I had got this new keyboard. I traded some stuff for a friend, and it's like this really cool, like, old 70s synth, and it just on every song. I mean, I just wrote all the whole record on it. I didn't really use any. I didn't use much of anything else. I used that and like a drum sequencer
Hmm.
and vocals and bass, and I just liked that instrument informed so much of the soundscape of the record. And then, but now, of course, like I'm back to guitar again because I'm kind of tired of that synth because I wore it out for that record, And occasionally I'll be like, oh, maybe that synth will work on this song, and I'll go
Hmm.
and pull it out and try to get into some sounds, and I'm like, nope, not into this at all. So
Not even for a callback.
no,
Yeah.
yeah. So maybe to your point, I think it's like I don't know that I get sick of music itself, but I just maybe get sick of a certain style or certain way of a certain way that I might have been doing things, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but the I didn't know it was a '70s synth, but that definitely has that sort of timeless, that '70s era feel to it.
Yeah, it's just how any instrument can just like kind of set you in another path or
Hmm.
something.
Yeah, it's like Clutch
Yeah.
uses that organ every album. It
Mm,
like sets the tone for every album.
mm, mm.
But I love the idea of just chasing a vibe, like, oh, I like this, and it just get kind of stuck on writing in one, and for one whole album. Like, dude, that's awesome. That
Yeah,
that's a
yeah.
level of focus I don't have.
Right, yeah. Well, I think in
Uh,
some ways, you'd be surprised when you start putting like parameters on things, how it can like narrow the focus, and then you don't have as much choice, and then therefore maybe, you get more quote unquote work done or something.
mhm.
It's like if the last record, the rule was essentially no guitar, let's say, for example, then it's like, well, you just narrowed something down for yourself right there because you can't. If you get stuck and you're like, oh, I wonder if this would be, on guitar, it's kind of like, well, no, you already said that wasn't an option, so you got to figure it out another way.
Yeah.
I don't have any hard rules like that. I mean, I just kind of have loose ideas that help me stay in a more narrow pocket.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know what I mean?
I like it, man.
Yeah.
I like your way of thinking.
Tell me what is wrong with you. Beneath, below, behind. The velvet dream still alive. Tell me what is wrong with you. Set yourself online. Still don't know what to do with your time. With your time. With
Yeah, how do you write songs? I mean, what's your
Slowly.
flow? Yeah,
And
slowly.
I usually it usually starts on guitar,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a buddy who I sort of have him. We have a sort of a similar writing style, and I'll take it to him and have him help me out with a lead or
Mm.
just a structure, help me structure it a little better if I don't have faith in the structure, or I'll bring him a fully formed song. And he will just suggest where I could go as far as my own leads, take out different progressions and put leads in instead, you know.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So I don't necessarily take it beyond that. Mostly just guitar, and then I
Mm.
formulate all the lyrics and stuff on my own, and all of it usually comes from a very very personal place.
Mm.
So I don't like to sing negative stuff over and over, not necessarily negative, however, like work through stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's some
Mm-hmm.
stuff you write and it just feels good to get it off your chest, but
Yeah.
I could never just sit there and sing that every time that I want to play a set or maybe even just make an album. The amount of times I have to play that over and over and feel what I'm trying to portray, it's not worth it for me.
Mm.
But I do like to come from a very personal place, but I also like to send off with a positive subtext, you know,
Mm.
always.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's like problem, solution, problem, solution.
I see.
And
Yeah.
that's always my structure. And that's pretty
Right.
much it if you listen to
Right.
any of my music. But
Well, so yeah, so you got your own framework going too. It sounds
mhm.
like.
But it's very short lived. You know, I'll be
Mm.
so into it for 2 years, and then there will just be 8 to 6 months where I don't even touch an instrument. I'm doodling, I'm
Mm.
podcasting, whatever, and then
Mm.
I look over and I feel sad, like, oh, what have I done? You know,
Mm.
pick her back up again and play her.
Right. Right.
But I've had the same guitar since I was 13, and
Wow. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind of tired of that sound. So I think my next step is I'm gonna get a nice amp and some pedals. I'm kind of a
Uh-huh.
shoegaze kind of guy. I want to take it to that level where I just have
Okay.
a bunch of really neat psychedelic sort of tools at my feet.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, much like I was talking about with the synth, like that could open up some new world for you in writing in the writing phase. You can inform some new style that you didn't know was there.
Yeah. I would love to pick
Yeah.
up a synth. I had a good Casio with some Casio tones for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I lost it
Mm-hmm.
in the divorce. I just left it in the closet, I think, and it's probably still there. But
Right. Go get that thing, man.
I
Those things
do.
are great.
Recon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a full size. So
Yeah, I'm not very like a very good keyboard player. I mean, not kind of. I'm definitely a hack, but yeah, I love it. I mean,
hmm
if I could, I would just learn piano. Just, I mean, I know that I could, but I feel like I don't have the time. Or one of these days, I'll have the time. That's really what I would enjoy is playing piano. You know.
It's very intimidating, man. A lot like real piano, like Ben Folds out there. You know, you're like,
Mm,
man,
yeah,
get to
yeah.
that level.
I just like the piano. I just feel
hmm
like it's just been such a nice instrument, or Rhodes or something like that, that you just feel like you can sound really good on your own, and you have everything kind of laid out and nice for writing songs. Yeah, I don't know. So one of these days it'll be in my repertoire.
Yeah, well, you got to go to like an estate sale and find you a good upright man and get them for like $75. They just like
Yeah,
throw them away at estate sales.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm gonna do that one of these days.
Yeah. Okay, I have one last question for you.
Sure.
What are you most grateful for right now?
Right now,
hmm
I think I said this something similar on the last podcast I did, which is like I mean I've always been super grateful to have music in my life. I don't know what I would do without that. Like
Yeah.
I would be not a happy person. So I know there's people having really hard times who don't have a thing to help them through a time like this, whether that be some hobby or something, right? Because a lot of people need other people, whether they're extroverted or they just like to be around people, and they get a little lost without some certain outlets that they don't have access to right now. Whether that's something as simple as going to like a yoga class or a gym, or going to the park with their buddies or something. They don't have that, so if they don't have something else at home and they're stuck at home and all they can do is watch TV, I feel really bad for them because
Yeah.
I feel like and I know people like this, and they're a little bit lost because they're missing out on a lot of stuff that they would normally have to fill those gaps. Whereas to answer your question, I'm thankful for having something to fill those gaps. So, and it works in times like this, in quarantining times, but obviously it works for my whole life. It's it's a gift. I mean, it's also a curse in its own way too, right? 'Cause we can't really live quote unquote normal lives with normal jobs, and
Mm,
it's hard to kind of toe the society line sometimes. You have to find your own place in it, and that can be difficult. But at least I have something there that I can work out all my problems on. So it's nice, man. It's a good feeling. It's a good feeling.
yeah. Music like a religion, man. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like when you strip everything down, like the time we're in right now, a lot of the other shit is obviously just meaningless, right?
Hmm.
We're all just like, I don't know, just treading down this relentless path, but we're not really doing anything.
I think the trend is escapism, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like
So,
you mean like in all the ways that are both good and bad in that? Is that what you're talking about? Like
yeah.
with people
Yeah,
with
yeah.
phones and with you know 24-hour Netflix and like is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
yeah yeah because it's a way to not have to think about things.
Numb the mind. Yeah.
Yep, yeah. But we all start off as creative beings. I mean, you have kids. I don't have kids, but kids are fascinated by everything, and they're
Hmm.
all artists. There's not a single human who wasn't an artist. If you really think about it, there's not a single kid who hasn't done make believe or painted something or turned a rock into a friend or you know what I mean. Like I
Yeah.
mean, they're all. It's just like that's you find me that kid, and as a general rule, every single person in the world has been an artist, a musician, a painter, but they lose it at some point because they get adultified, and then they have to fit into these narrow parameters. And then you hear these people that say like, "Oh, I could never be good at art, or I could never be this or that." And it's like, well, actually, you could, and you were at some point, but you don't do it anymore. And
Don't value
it's
it. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, or just like, or you just didn't think that it had a place in your life or in the world at large, so you let it go.
Hmm.
And that's kind of sad because that's not their fault. It's like what the world has done to most people or most societies,
Yeah. I would
you
love to
know.
see everybody's art. Like, you saying that, it just makes me think, like, man, there's some tough cookies out there that I know. I would love to see what they draw. Just like because
Mm-hmm.
no matter what you end up creating, it's a little window into who you are.
Mm-hmm.
What's in your
Mm-hmm.
head that you might not be able to articulate with words.
Yeah, but
So,
everybody gets so down on themselves, or
yeah.
they're embarrassed, or they don't think they could do a drawing, or they tell you, "Oh no, I don't have any skills," and they probably don't. It would probably look terrible.
Yeah, my
But
mom
the
told
thing
me
is,
once.
it's like all that stuff is stuff that you would have to do for your life, practice or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
My mom told me
yeah,
once
what'd your
that
mom
I can't even draw a toothpick. And I said,
say?
draw it. And I made her draw a toothpick. She drew a pretty good toothpick. I
She
was
do a
like,
good too. Yeah. Hey,
it's like, see,
see.
see.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, maybe people get a little bit more artistic during this time.
Hopefully, that would be
Hopefully,
cool. That would be
that'll be
cool.
good. More
They don't have,
writing, more
yeah,
reading.
they don't have to do it for anybody else, but just to get it out there.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know,
I don't have to do it for anybody. I mean, yeah,
I do it
exactly.
for my kids. I draw pictures and I just think like, these aren't really for anybody else. I'm never going to sell them, but I would love to just whenever I pass on and they're digging through my stuff, what are we going to throw away? Oh, look at all these little windows into dad's weirdness,
Mm,
you know?
Yeah, yeah, that's cool.
So, but,
Yeah, we all got to be weird when we can.
hmm hmm
What- It's the only way to connects you back to your childlike self, right?
the beginner's mind, indeed,
Yeah,
man. Keep those
yeah, yeah.
wheels turning for sure.
That's right. That's right.
Well, thank you so much, man, for taking the time to sit and let us inside your head.
Yeah, yeah. It's nice to get out of my head every once in a while. I've been working on music all day, and it's, sometimes it's great, and then some days are a little frustrating, and today was a little bit frustrating. So
okay, well, I'm glad I could
have
be.
A little break.
You needed it just right. That's right. Right place, right time, man.
Right place, right time.
Swooped in.
Well, let me know when the podcast is up, and I'll shoot it up on the socials and all that stuff.
Okay, will do, man. Take
right
care.
On, man. Yeah, take care. Thanks.
Later. Thank you once again to our guest, Abram Shook. It was fantastic to get a hold of you and get to know you a little bit. I am really digging the music. It's kind of become a daily thing. You've popped up on the playlist quite a bit, so that's really cool. And like I said, a lot of the music that I get to listen to around my house and like in the car and stuff is stuff that my kids approve of. And it's not that like I need their approval, but I mean, they make it very hard to listen to music that I like that they don't, in other words. And so it's cool. The reason I bring that up is like, I still listen to music that my dad showed me as a kid that he liked. So I have a feeling that the life of music lives a lot longer than any pandemic ever. As long as there's some sort of way to listen to it, I feel as though it's infinite. So that's really cool. And it's really cool to become a part of something like this and have a documentation of where that music existed in this time right here. One of the cool things that Abram talked about was radio.com. And I did a little bit, just literally Googled in radio wrong with a few R's and O's, and I found it. It was not hard. So I guess I win the race to find it, but I'm just glad I did. And I dropped a link down in the show notes, and I want you guys to go check it out. Just maybe find your dad's birthday and see, where he was born. Maybe your mom, maybe your aunt, maybe your favorite person in the whole world. Find out where they were born and when, and see what music was happening right then and there. It's a fun little quarantine exercise. Just go have fun with it, And then have something to talk about with those people, because you're stuck with them, right? Most of them. And if you're not, do also, like Abram was talking about, and set up a weekly Zoom meeting with people that you have a hard time connecting with. This might be a really good time to get to know some people in your own life that you wish you could know better. And maybe this is great because what's their excuse? Maybe the excuse has always been, oh, they're always busy, or I'm always busy. Well, maybe now's a good time to say like, hey, that thing you do on Thursday, you're not doing anymore. That thing you do every Saturday or Sunday morning, even Sunday morning, right? That's a big thing for a lot of people. Just saying, reach out. I'll try to do the same. And I will report my results back here the next time that we sit down and you guys hear my voice. That'll be when I report it. I'm trying to think of some new things to do for the Patreon. I had this interview up already. It's just the interview, no bells and whistles. If you're interested in, there's more content obviously, and it's not produced. A lot of this I cut out dead space, so you can find it at patreon.com/trial by error variety show. There will also be a link in the show notes for that. Make sure you click the links, explore the artist. Take care of yourselves, you guys. Take care of each other. And as always, follow the goal.